to today's webinar partnering with local law enforcement and juvenile courts. My name is BC Echohawk, and I'm a member of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma. On behalf of the Native Connections team and contracting officer representatives Maureen Madison and Jan Dunbar Cooper, thank you for joining us. Our guests today are from the MHA Nation and San Carlos Apache communities. They'll share how they partner with law enforcement and their courts, and we hope you'll share your questions and comments also. To do that, you can use the raise hand function in Zoom so we can call on you to share, or feel free to enter questions or comments in the chat box anytime during our call. We're going to open in a good way today, but we would like to ask if anyone in our audience would care to take a healthy risk and volunteer to open us up in a good way. Okay, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and ask if our grantee technical assistant, Bobby Arthur, would open us up in a good way.
Thank you, BC. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for allowing me this time to open us up in a good way. I want to offer just a prayer, say a prayer for all of us this morning. I know that we all have our own ways of praying and making that connection. So I just ask that you just give me a little bit of time and space to just allow me to honor you all by again just offering up a prayer here. Creator, thank you for giving us all the breath of life today again. Thank you for giving us the ability for the small blessings to hear and see and smell, taste, and touch. Thank you for bringing us all here again today together to share our experiences and to share with one another about the work that we're doing here. I ask at this time, Creator, that you bless everyone who is with us at this time. Bless our homes and our families. Especially our families. We wouldn't be able to do what we do if it weren't for our families, their understanding and their support, Creator. So bless them in a good way like that. So bless all of us, bless our presenters that are going to be sharing. Let them find the words that will reach us and expand our knowledge and our knowledge and wisdom of the work that we do. So bless our presenters like that in a good way. And again, I just want to ask for blessings for everyone that is with us here, in just a good ways, our homes and all our livelihoods, and just take care of all of us. I'd like to give all these things to you, Creator, at this time. Thank you. So we'd like to begin some introductions. So first of all, my name, I am do my cleanse as Shaheen and Shalot Katnes on the bushes chin. Heglini Deshachen, Kis Ani Shashtanet Deshanella. So I am Salt Clan and I'm born for the Tangle people. My maternal grandfathers are the Waterflows together, and my paternal grandfathers are the Bear Clan, the Hopi tribe. And my name is Bobby Arthur, and I'm a grantee technical assistant, and I'm really honored to be here with you all today. And so I'd like to pass this on to my colleague, Sarah.
Thank you, Bobby. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning. My name is Sarah Pearson, and I'm known to the GTAs as someone who helps them with everything Native Connections and Tribal Action Planning. So I'm here to help. I'm located in the center of Virginia on traditional Monacan Nation lands, and I'll turn it over to Marie. Marie, are you on mute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that,
I hear you
everybody.
now.
Sogole Sogwe, everyone. My name is Marie Schuyler Drever. I am a grantee technical assistant here with the SAMHSA TTA Center. I just want to welcome everybody for joining us today. I'm going to send it back over to Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Again, we're really excited that everybody's with us today. We have a really great presentation, but we would like to start with some polling questions. And if you wouldn't mind, inside of the chat box, we want to get to know all of you. So if you please wouldn't mind just to put in the chat box, share your name, the location of where you're at, and maybe your cohort. Share something so that way we all get to know who you are and where you're coming in from.
And we know it's no longer winter.
Sarah?
Spring has sprung. And I know what I do in the spring is I open the windows on the next best day when it's nice and cool but dry and it hasn't rained yet. I open the windows, let the fresh air in, and start my spring cleaning little by little. That's what I'm doing right now. Marie and Bobby, do you have any spring cleaning or spring-like traditions in your area, your household?
Yes. Here at home, we definitely do some spring cleaning. We have 7 people that live in our household, so we must spring clean to be able to take out the old, donate some stuff, have a garage sale, those kind of things. And then, of course, we love to go help our youngest daughter go stick hunting in our neighborhood with all the winter droppage. Our neighbors, they usually just kind of like put a pile in their yard, in the front yard. And so we go around in the evening and go stick hunting with her so she can build her little forts in the backyard. And I was just so grateful. I was sharing earlier that our flowers have bloomed. So I have tulips in my yard that opened. My hyacinths are smelling lovely. So, yes, those are just some of the things we do here at home. Of course, we have our ceremonies. But yes, that's what we look forward to is definitely that fresh air, opening those windows. So, thank you. Bobby.
Oh my gosh, there's like a lot of different things I do. There's always something really exciting when you can feel that when the nice cool air, that's that change going from cold into to warmer weather. One of the things that we start to do, gardening. I know that I don't get to do it a whole lot when I'm in the city. But when I come back to New Mexico, my parents do have a garden. And so they're very big gardeners. And so I like to, when I can, come and help them to get their gardens going and start the planting. But there is something about that change. I saw my grantee Mitzi. Hi, Mitzi. I saw what she said in the comment about the windows. Oh my gosh, yeah. When it's springtime, all the windows are open, fresh air is coming in, blowing out all the winter air. But yeah, that's another awesome thing I like to do.
I see a lot in the chat box. Steven says he likes using that time to be with family. Someone said hunting in here. Let me see what else.
We have
Springtime hunting and camping and getting ready for summer.
Wow, we do
I
have a
see
lot in the chat.
planting. There's a lot of comments. Thanks, everybody. That's
Yes.
exciting.
Someone learned how to bead over the winter. Oh, wow.
Someone's learning. Yeah, I was just going to say, someone learned how to bead.
And painting. This is good. Boy, this is getting serious. Ooh. Springtime is planting time for us. Sitting in the spring
Yes.
sun, isn't that the truth? Soaking it up because it's still cool enough to feel that nice hot sun.
hmm
Winter
Anything
stories.
outdoors, hiking, fishing, cookouts. Welcome, Amara, former
Hi,
GPO.
everyone. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Lara.
Hello, everyone.
Kayaking, I see the kayaking and spring cleanup, prepping car for all the summertime adventures. That's really important, Val. Good idea. Thank you for the reminder. Well, I guess, Mark, we're next ready to move on. So with the whole idea of spring, and that brings the sense of change. We've gone from winter to spring. Spring is in the air, and so is the sense of change. So we present this webinar here to you today to kind of get you in that mindset to think about change and to think about maybe looking at something a little bit differently. And we're thinking about partnerships. And we know that many Native Connections programs use partnerships as a strategy for enhancing their program activities and engaging with youth. A lot of Native Connections programs partner with school districts and after-school programs, boys and girls clubs, and others. But less often do they partner with local law enforcement and courts. Why is that? Is that because we're not used to connecting with that group of people? Maybe we don't know how to reach out. We don't know where the connections are to reach out to get to know them, what they like to do. But we know that there are mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and aunties and uncles and cousins that take on that career because they like being with the public. They're people, right? They like people. So they're a resource in the community. And today's webinar is going to introduce you to a couple of grantees that took a healthy risk and reached out to this group of people and have had some really good luck with it and good experiences.
But first, before we all dive right into the webinar and hear from our great presenters, we want to first hear from you.
So we have a couple of questions to put in the chat box. First question is, who do you partner with regularly to provide your activities or services? Let us know who you're partnering with. We're really putting them to work today.
Yeah, we are making them work in that chat. So who do you partner with regularly to provide activities and services to the youth?
School district. Oh, MOA, that's getting serious. Regional hospital.
Yay.
Indian Health Services. Yes, yes.
That's a good one.
And do you partner with local law enforcement or any of your courts that service your community? Do you have an MOA with your partners? I see that we have that in the chat already. Someone answered that question.
Oh, wow. And
From Megan.
Emma's got a whole crew. She's got
Wow.
libraries and law enforcement and daycare. That's good. Regional Department Education Center of Behavioral Health. Excellent.
Partner with the organization and with the behavioral health department. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was seeing that Community Learning Center, youth program. Oh, okay. No MOA yet, though. Youth Center, Community Health, Great Plains, Recovery Group, School Sexual Assault Program, Tribal Clinic, Tribal. Oh, there are. So there are. We're seeing that there are some people here today that have partnered with law enforcement, and that's great because we hope you'll get into the conversation with our presenters today.
Yes, Community Resource Center, School District, Tribal School Systems, Family Services, Tribal College, Tribal Law Enforcement, and Tribal Clinic. Yes, and then we have local tribes, internal departments and programs, nonprofits. There are cohort 10, but we already began discussions with local law enforcement and young offenders courts, some in place and others being planned and discussed. Sarah says, from time to time, we partner with law enforcement. We no longer have MOAs. It's getting very complicated involving lawyers. And then Maya shares we partner with a lot of local organizations such as environmental orgs, Detroit recreational orgs, and more. And is it Chinook states we do not partner with any courts or local law enforcement. I believe we have MOAs or MOUs with several tribes in the area. Good.
Nice. Nice.
Well, let's move on to the next slide, please. So we're going to get started today with, we've got a great panel lined up here for you all with fellow Native Connections grantees from various cohorts and special guest speakers who will be joining us in these conversations today. On our panelists today, we have Mandan Hidatsa Nation's Elba Woods Memorial Health Center with Rhonda Medicine Crow. And then we have Stephen Pahi Jr. with the San Carlos Apache, and Louis Lorenzo is also one of his partners there. So I'm going to go ahead and please join me in welcoming our first grantee presenter, Rhonda Medicine Crow from MHA Nation Elba Woods Memorial Health Center.
Dosha, Mabi Sigits, hello. My name is Rhonda Medicine Crow. I am a member of the Walker River Paiute tribe from Schurz, Nevada. My Hidatsa clan is Awache, Dripping Dirt. I am the MHA Nation Native Connections Director. And we are part of cohort 9. So this is our second 5-year, 5 years worth of funding. So we had it for first 5 years, and then now we're into our second 5 years. And Marie is our GTA. So welcome everybody. I'm glad this is a really important conversation. And if you're new to the program, you know, I remember what it's like being new and first to this program, having a lot of experience in prevention and wellness, but coming through and navigating the Native Connections program, we did have to make a lot of connections. So that's why I think this presentation is extremely important in regards to law enforcement and how we can work with law enforcement for our youth and families. So I'm ready to get started. So our Native Connection staff, first and foremost, we attend juvenile probation hearings, formal and informal, and we're able to provide mental health resources, and that occurs every Tuesday at our Justice Center. We're there to assist the families and, you know, of course, reduce the stigma of mental health. And no matter why the youth are there, we're there to support their families. So we have the connection with the Juvenile Justice Center. They've also, with that connection, they asked us like to come in and write letters of commitment for them when they applied for a wellness court initiative grant. I think it was part of the CTAS, Coordinated Tribal Assistance Solicitation, and they got a wellness court through there. So they incorporate Native Connections into that programming as well. We do the QPR. We are trainers for QPR, so we do a lot of training. We'll go into the Juvenile Justice Center to train all their staff. We've gone into the courts and trained the probation staff, some of their directors. So that's how we really we let them know like we have services to offer them and make those connections. And so they're constantly emailing us referrals or texting us or asking for help when they have a youth that may not be on formal probation, but they know that they're at risk. So really our prevention protocol goes into effect in that way, but we do it by collaborating with them. So that's one of the things we do. Some of the things we do, go ahead. Again, we also have brought like Narcan training over to the Juvenile Justice Center to youth on probation. We collaborate with one of the adolescent therapists from MHA Nation to work alongside them for QPR training. So in the top picture is the Native Connections team with the therapist and the juvenile probation officer. So just always working together and establishing those relationships. We allow them to use our pediatric residents. I work out of a health clinic, Indian health clinic. So that has been extremely beneficial for our programming. Um, I've seen like a lot of good results coming from other Native Connections programs that are embedded within the health clinics, the Indian health clinics, and we're situated right in the behavioral health department. So I think that's one thing that really backs us when we go and talk to the courts and law enforcement, because they're looking for that resource. We are a resource for them, and we answer the calls when needed. So we also do a Youth Are Sacred, which is part of the NAFA curriculum, the Native American Fathers and Families program out of Arizona. I was trained on it many, many years ago. So we were able to bring that program over, and it's a 12-week curriculum that we work with the kids in juvenile justice for. So that program is a closed program to just the youth in juvenile justice or who are on probation, active probation, because it blends in like cultural integration with best practices for behavior modification, so that the kids will learn about risk factors and protective factors, um, and it will eventually help them in their situations. So we do that. We also do another Youth Are Sacred programming outside of probation, but that's with another group. So, and a lot of the informal probation kids come to that one. But if you're on formal probation, we do one directly with the juvenile probation. Okay, go ahead. Like I said, we did Narcan trainings, work with the Wellness Corps. We bring in victim services because we have law enforcement officers with victim services. We have them come and present for the youth as well. Go ahead. Everybody's going into May, Mental Health Awareness Month. So MHA Nation covers 6 different segments. It's almost 1 million acres wide or square miles wide. So from where we sit in Newtown, North Dakota, our further segment that we go to is Twin Buttes, which is about 2 hours away. So we make sure to be inclusive of all the segments, going out to every single segment to promote Mental Health Awareness Month in May and September Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Always having the law enforcement come out and do presentations, speak to the kids. All the schools bring all their kids out there. So like Twin Buttes is about 57 kids. Then we get into other segments like Newtown here, we have over 500 kids that attend. They bus them in, we walk across the bridge. But all this time, our law enforcement, we're allowing them a huge presence at these events because it's important for the youth to see them as a resource. So this one was up in Twin Buttes. Like I said, they have their whole school came out, so that's about 57 kids. We have law enforcement go out. They know who their law enforcement officers are. Just doing walks and talks. I think this was this past year's September Suicide Prevention Awareness Month activity. And like we said, here in Newtowns, we cross a bridge, the youth do. They all get shirts, they all get water, all the resources in our coalition come out, give speeches, we play music. To the community, we get sponsored for Subway box lunches. But all our law enforcement, we have our law enforcement here where we would use our law enforcement as well as to be able to do traffic control. So up top of the hill, we have law enforcement with lights on and their microphones in their vehicles to be able to direct traffic. How do I do the box lunches? Subway gives they have a box lunch. So it's like a 6-inch with a sandwich and a cookie and the mayonnaise and all that stuff in there. We get sponsored by that stuff. We go out and we ask segment representatives, other coalitions. I think this year our victim services came through and they are donating, I think, 1,500 for 2 segments, and our chairman ended up donating 2,000. So, and that is about 50 box lunches per off, not Newtown. Newtown is about $1,000 for box lunches. We also work with our Subway representative. We're always advocating. We give them shirts that are Subway people. So we have a really good, like, I'm able to text them, and like it's really about making those connections and establishing them. I mean, during Easter, I'm like texting everybody, happy Easter, you know, constantly thinking, and I have a co-partner staff member, and she's doing the same thing, you know. Today we just got done with our coalition meeting, and this morning, first thing we're doing is sending out our friendly reminders. We already did the calendar invite. We're constantly texting people, just being connected. Continue. We go into all the schools. We have MOUs with every single school within MHA Nation, and that's about 5. Yeah, 5. We bring the law enforcement officers to the schools to do prevention presentations. We provide the kids and the schools with suicide and overdose data here on MHA Nation. We talk about the recovery programs that we have within MHA Nation, who their resources are, and just really, like the bottom piece says, incorporating the spirit of inclusiveness for our youth. And that's how we really use our law enforcement. Any event we have them come out with lights. They're walking in the walks with us. They're presenting, they're bringing out their incentives and fun things. They're doing icebreakers with us. You know, if we have a Lily or war hoop contest, they're jumping right in, you know, with the kids, because we really know that it's vital for our kids to see them as a resource and somebody that really can be there to protect and serve them in whichever capacity they need to be, even if it's being a goofy cop, you know, goofy law enforcement officer. So that's what we do here for MHA Nation. Again, it comes with a lot of MOUs, memorandum of understandings, a lot of communication, a lot of texting. You know, so they know to call and give us the referrals and things like that. Being able to provide them with presentations and information, you know, because we all know in the field of suicidology, it's not something that we're taught in school. It's not a main course in our college courses and things like that. So unless you're really in the field of it, you know, a lot of people don't know, and you assume that law enforcement's know the ins and outs. You assume that your front desk clinic receptionists and intake workers know about it, but they don't. So when somebody calls them in a panic, you know, those are your first line people who you want to give them that knowledge and information to and train them, because the better that they are about it, you know, the easier it makes my job and our therapists and our counselors here at behavioral health and our doctors. So we even were able to get our doctors QPR for medical professions because of professionals, and pay for that training. And like we beaded wristlets, and the first 5 that are going to get them done, they win a free beaded wristlets, and they're all excited. So we make it a competition, make it fun. So, yep. I think that's all I had from MHA Nation. Over and out.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. Thank you so much for sharing your presentation and how you've been able to utilize your grant in ways of incorporating your Native Connections grant with partnering with your local law enforcement and juvenile court. We would like to give a moment for any questions for Rhonda at this time regarding her presentation. We will also devote some time at the end for further questions for both presenters. But right now, we'll take a few moments if you have any. If not, we can hold those till after.
While we're waiting, Marie, I had a quick
Sure.
question for Rhonda.
Mhm.
Are you a natural extrovert, or does this job require being an extrovert, or can you do it when you're an introvert?
I don't know. I think you literally have to be a Virgo I think you have to have somewhat of a extrovert personality, and I do. I am better at just going forward and speaking as long as I know about this subject. Um, so yeah, I have rapped at assemblies. I have played games. I have how do you connect with the juvenile courts? I just showed up and I was like, hey, we want to be a resource, be my friend. I'm the type of person I go into a room, I automatically assume everybody loves me and likes me. I never have an issue in life. Like somebody literally needs to come to my face and be like, I don't like you. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It's okay though. And I think maybe something happened. I don't know. You know, because I like you. I don't know. But that's how, but yeah, but my educator coordinator, she's a little bit of an introvert. But she has mad skills on what she does. And when she does need to rise to the occasion, she shines. But her normal personality would be an introvert. And but when she as long and she's the type like she will it because I say everybody has their skills. She's the type that she will need to practice and look in the mirror and say her speech. If I do that, I will fumble the whole thing up before I get there. That's why mine's all pictures because I can talk about it. Um, but if I have to read it, I'm like, yeah. So I think that you do definitely have to have a level of being able to do a lot of outreach and connection and um, yeah. But I think that anybody can do it because I mean not anybody, but just find your strength in what this program needs. You don't always, because you could find it in a law enforcement officer. And as long as you give them the tools, if you have the speaker and things set up, and people will shine. I've done that to everybody. But I know who is not going to talk. We have a drug awareness coordinator for chairman. I'm like, come on up, Jamie, come introduce yourself. And she's like in front of 1,000 kids. She's like, no, so that was my lesson learned. So I don't do that to her, but will she step up with $2,000 from chairman? Absolutely. So you find the strengths in your resources around you and you use them because and that's just as loud as anybody could be on a microphone. That speaks volumes on her end,
Well
you know.
said. Well
So
That
said.
is so true. So true.
yeah. So hope that helps. And that's why I said I don't want to deter anybody from ever thinking, oh, because I'm not an extrovert, I can't do this. If you're in this position, you got mad skills somewhere, you find it, you use it because you're needed. And it's important.
Yes, yes. Good words, Rhonda. Thank you so much again for sharing. Um, we always love listening to you and all the efforts you make in MHA. So those youth are very lucky to have you.
And
I want
that's
to hand it, I want to hand this over now to Bobby. Well, send it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Your energy is felt all the way over here in New Mexico. So thank you. Um, we have another presenter all the way from San Carlos. They are the San Carlos Apache Tribal Council. They are a cohort 7, and they are an amazing duo that do the work in that area, in that community of San Carlos. Today we're going to have like I mentioned, there are two. We have Stephen Pahi, and then we also have Louis Lorenzo. Unfortunately, Louis couldn't join us today, but he did. He does have Stephen here to represent, and Stephen is going to share what they've done to collaborate and create that working relationship with their law enforcement and juvenile courts within San Carlos area. So I would like to introduce Stephen Pahi Jr. Take it away, Stephen.
Chicas, how are you guys doing? We are in going on our 5th year here working with Native Connections and our grant. And I would like to say that it has been a challenge, but also a great challenge And those of you out there, you might get burnt out or feel like this work is bigger than you, which it is. But at the same time, if you focus on the youth and which the dynamics of our youth that you're helping, it's very empowering. You feel motivated, and at the same time, you'll learn along this journey. So what we like to do is healing and empowering Apache youth. So our our serve St. Carlos Apache youth from ages 12 to 17 and youth ages 18 to 24. Uh, our goal is to reduce suicide and underage substance misuse amongst the target population, advance mental health resources in a culturally specific manner that will draw from our ancestral knowledge to build resiliency, positive self-identity, reincorporate traditional values, and reconnect with positive family and community support systems. So we work a lot with elders in our school, and sometimes we will bring them into the detention center. I have the opportunity every Thursday at 1 o'clock. I get an hour and a half to go present on drugs, alcohol, and suicide. Every Thursday from 1 to 2:30 to the juvenile detention center. In their classroom, they give me time. This was a struggle at first because whatever crime you hear in the tribal in our reservation, some of these children are a part of robberies or a part of killings or a part of serious crimes in San Carlos. And then I get to go in and see them and present to them. But at the same time, even though they are young, they were still under the influence of alcohol or drugs when they do these bad crimes. So at one point, I had about 19 youth, male and female, and let's just say that one day, after about a month, they finally opened up to me, and they told me about their living conditions, how their homes were, how their mother's not there, their father's not there, how their parents are, into drugs and alcohol. So I guess that was my first experience of transference when working with the client. And I took that home with me, and I was sad for a week and I couldn't shake it. But I told myself that the hour I have with these youth, that I'm gonna have to bring the best presentations possible on drugs, on alcohol, on suicide, on their educational goals. Some days I come in and we explore tribal colleges and across the whole US of where they can go when they do graduate high school. We explore opportunities. Our Veterans Association people come and present to our youth. And the best relationship we have is with the director of the detention center. And we also do sweats with our youth. We once a month we bring in. That's how we bring in the elder people so that we can sit in a classroom and talk about culture, but let them experience it. And I think that is the goal of having our youth, their first time ever coming to a sweat and understanding that our knowledge and our wisdom is still alive. And that's when we ask some of our spiritual leaders to come in and to present to the youth. Next slide. So we partner with Life is Precious, which is our suicide surveillance team, to reach and engage at youth and parents, legal guardians upon return from treatment to highlight our program services. So Life is Precious is like our tribal community suicide hotline. Any suicide um, any suicide situation that happens in the community or at the hospital, we have a team that goes there and responds. So if youth has suicide ideations, we also get referrals from LIP for the kids to join our program. We work closely with therapists, clinicians to have patients enroll in Native Connections, cultural-based support programs to learn coping skills and build positive peer relationships. Um, we attend weekly case staffings with clinical and life is precious team to review progress of referred patients. And we continue to provide culturally based support services and build rapport with patient parents. So the question earlier was, what was our favorite activity to do in wintertime? So in my tribe, that's when the elders can talk about history, can tell stories, and that's usually at the sweat. So we, in our fourth year now, we had our winter sweat where we invite different youth to attend, people that are part of Wellness Center, clients as well as non-clients. Parents want their children to, attend the sweat ceremony, so they'll get a hold of us. At the Wellness Center, we have a van, so I would go up and pick up different kids in our community. We usually attend the sweat on Sundays. Next slide, please. So we partnered with our juvenile court to establish a referral system for at-risk youth to receive prevention and treatment services. We work closely with assigned therapists, including juvenile court probation at high-risk youth to gauge prevention and treatment progress. So we attend management meetings with clinical and life expression teams to review progress of referred patients. So what happens is I see the youth in juvenile detention on Thursdays, and when they get out, I ask them, who's your probation officer? And luck of the cards, their probation officers are my friends who I grew up with, and we build a relationship. So there's only two juvenile probation officers, and I know them. So then on Thursday evenings from 5 to 6:30, we have a juvenile probation group that I also do once a week and provide services on drugs, alcohol, suicides, the same thing. And there's a referral system from the court, the juvenile court, the judge. We met with the judge. And then there's a referral system that we have to do an intake at the Wellness Center so that they can be part of our boys' youth mentorship program, as well as our girls' youth mentorship program. Next slide, please. So we continue to work with the juvenile court team on referring at-risk youth to the Wellness Center, Native Connections, and our program. And we continue to work with juvenile probation, parents, and legal guardians to gauge progress for our youth referral. We also invite law enforcement officers to community trainings, parent meetings, and community outreach activities. We also invite them to attend sweat lodge or treatment graduation ceremonies for juvenile, and we provide feedback or recommendations on policies on juvenile offenders, prevention or treatment services. So we have a new police chief that was just elected last year, and he's real motivated, and just like our tribal social services, tribal police system, we all know that suicide um, suicide is really big here in our reservation community, and I believe that it's important that I believe Native Connections is like the glue that all of our tribal systems here, the court, the jail, and Wellness Center, Native Connections, that we can provide services that other entities can't provide, like the sweat, the culture, the elders. And I think that's very important. And I believe that that's what's awesome about Native Connections, that it brought collaboration. Next slide, please. So we continue to work with and seek advice from St. Carlos Apache tribal elders on traditional teachings, methods related to teachings of traditional knowledge. We continue to work with traditional teachers and spiritual leaders as cultural matter experts related to ceremonial services and enhancing traditional knowledge. So we also have a drumming group that we have in the schools that we do with youth. We have a fishing group. We have a girls' youth mentorship group. Her name's Melissa Kojin. She does great work with making dresses. We also do food gathering. We work with the Forest Service And I don't know if you know this woman, her name is Twyla Casador. She has books out and she's a gatherer, but she's my cousin and she's awesome. And we learn a lot from her. We go get different wild teas and wild foods, and that's what springtime is about. So when all the natural food is growing. So as well as we're gonna do archery here soon. I'm working on the paperwork for archery, but I believe that's really important. And I believe one of the main factors is that if you're new and you got into Native Connections, there are people in your community who have been doing this work for years. So the St. Carlos Wellness Center was just renamed like in 2000, probably four. But Louis Lorenzo, my supervisor, has been doing this work since 1992. So I'm very, very, very happy that I have a supervisor who has been working on the cultural aspects of our community and doing this work. So I have to listen and I have to learn. But it takes a while for your community to trust you. I myself, I'm 16 years in my sobriety. I believe Louis is 24, but our community knows that we're serious about our job. And that's what I like about this job. And more importantly, getting this message out to the youth. Next slide, please. We provide a safe space for tribal leaders, law and order personnel, healthcare providers, school administrators, and faculty, elders, parents, and youth to discuss historical trauma and its impact. We provide a safe space to learn and answer what is historical trauma and its impacts on the Apache communities with juvenile offenders. We provide a safe space to discuss the impacts of historical trauma and intergenerational trauma with parents, guardians, and juvenile offenders. We continue to discuss ways to improve services, utilizing drawing from ancestral knowledge to reduce suicide and substance misuse. So I love American Indian Studies. That's what I wanted to graduate with at Haskell, but things happened. I came back here in St. Carlos, but I believe that this is an important time at the Wellness Center to where we gave presentations to our different 5 districts here in St. Carlos. We give a historical timeline of our reservation when St. Carlos began to the present day to discuss our 3 phases of suicide that happened here in our community, as well as alcohol and drug abuse when meth came in 2000. So what we try to do is we open the door for our people. The hardest presentation I did was at our elders luncheon. Every month, our elders get together in the community, and I had to present our timeline of historical trauma to elders. And when I was done, there was probably like 18 grandmothers that cried to me and 9 grandfathers that shook my hand. And that's when I understood how long alcohol has been here, how long misuse of alcohol and suicide has been here. And at that same time, I guess Native Connections opened the door for these types of talking circles to happen. So when the elders said, I wish my daughter was here. I wish my grandkids were here to hear this presentation. I talked with Louis, and that's why we want to have more presentations in our community. But we also do present at the schools, the junior highs, as well as we have TANF here that we also present in different organizations. The hospital requests us presenting all the time, and I believe that's good. I believe that's great. And if you're a non-tribal member, it takes a while for a tribe to trust you because we're so used to people coming in our tribal communities, touching down and getting an experience and then leaving right away. So that being said, here at our wellness center, we have a director who's from St. Carlos, and we all know we're building trust amongst ourselves right now. Next slide, please. What should our youth know about ourselves that relates to unhappiness and self-hate? We are healthy which is our Apache blood, is special. We are resilient in our kinship with our family. We are in their spiritual feelings, and we are interconnected as individuals. So one of my first words I learned Apache when I was a little boy was one of my older uncles said to me was "Atoa Kananda," and I looked at him, and what he asked me was, "Why are you here?" I remember I was like 11, and I was trying to think of that answer, and he started laughing at me, and he said, "That's what my grandpa told me," meaning that we have things to answer in our life as Apache people. And most of that knowledge comes in the sweat. So that's why it's real important that we get our young boys to come to the sweat. Then that's when the elders tell them about their life, how to treat their family, what are their goals are. When they do get married, how to treat a woman, certain important things um, that talk about peace in our community. Next slide, please. I guess these are our panel questions.
Your slides ran out though, Stephen, but that's okay. We still have you on the platform. And we had a couple of questions that we wanted to ask both you and Rhonda, but did you have a thought you wanted to finish when you were just wrapping up?
Oh, just that I believe that our our departments here in our communities were spread out, and Native Connections comes in and sort of brings people together to talk about these situations because our school district, the police department, the courts, social services, at the end of it, the whole problems that we're dealing with is alcohol, drugs, and suicide. So if we stay here and we join a stronger team and help each other in our tribal community, and I think that's what the biggest difference is. The difference is collaborating and networking within your own tribal community, not necessarily when you go out, but I believe that it can be tough work at times. At times, I worry about the kids I work with when they do get out. There's this thing called 15 and 5. If you consume alcohol before you're the age of 15, 5 years after that, you could be an alcoholic. So there's a lot of things that Native Connections is very positive in bringing these tough talking circles and situations to go about. Like I have progressed. Um, I guess when that happened, I had to talk to our therapist about when I got transference. And the therapist told me, well, in this work, we therapists also have to go see a therapist. And I was like, how come you didn't tell me that at the very beginning? But now I understand that if you want to do positive work for your tribal community, you want to help, like this is where it's at. It can be tough, but working with our juvenile court system and also the adult court um, is vital in the court system and the juveniles, the police officers. They know that we bring positivity and we're going to bring knowledge and about what it means to be a Apache tribal member, not necessarily the violence, not the drinking, not the gangs, but our identity and knowledge is what we bring as Native Connections about the sweat, bringing people in to understand the good things in life. So it feels good when I go to Walmart or the town and I see the youth say, "Hey, Mr. Pahi, how are you doing? I'm out now. I don't want to go back in." So, and I believe that's what Native Connections has helped us do is bring a connection with especially our juvenile detention. It's hard to go in there and get access, but Louis built a great relationship with the director. We're at a sweat one day, and the director, his name is Myron Moses, told me, "Why don't you do a sweat for the juveniles?" I said, "Can we?" He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." And that's all it took. That was our meeting. I didn't have to go see him, and it was that easy. But we have trust in our community. So non-tribal members, it takes a while for people to trust you and I believe that's what this is about. When you work with the youth, you have to tell the parents, okay, they're 10 years old. But 11, 12, 13, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's gangs, and they're coming up as they grow. So we have to start young, but keep the doors open. Our doors are open to every tribal member in our community. We don't turn nobody away. But at the same times, I believe parents are scared as to what their child may say about what goes on in the home. So that's my presentation for now, and I would like to thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. We'll turn it over to Bobby.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Again, Stephen and Louis have just done some amazing work out in San Carlos, and I just want to say thank you, Stephen, you and Louis, for taking the time to be with us today. So Native Connections, if you haven't gathered, it's very invested in those partnerships, and that networking and collaboration with resources. What it does is it helps to enhance activities that engage and keep our Native youth involved. And as our guest speakers have shared, and some of these have probably shared a lot of these questions that we're going to be asking here, but we want to open the floor for any of our participants to share. So we want to talk about or ask these questions here that you see on the screen, that were, questions that we feel like are real important in this discussion. And so the first one is, what made you decide to partner with law enforcement and our juvenile courts? If you wouldn't mind putting your thoughts or your comments inside of the chat. And then what is the benefit to partnering with law enforcement or the court systems? And then the third question is, how can professionals in law enforcement and courts be engaged in youth suicide prevention programming? So if you wouldn't mind putting your comments in the chat to one question or all.
And this is also for both of our speakers as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if our panelists, if you don't mind sharing your comments as well. Stephen and Rhonda, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I believe that there was a need. But also we are about 2 hours east from Phoenix. And I believe that the need for our youth to have services, I don't know how it is in your tribal community, but there's signs that, a youth is going through some struggle at home, whether it be suicide ideation or risk cutting or his behavior. So I believe that just identifying what the youth needs and the law enforcement and juvenile courts is vital so I told juveniles last week that you have rights as a youth. Nobody's supposed to hurt you. Nobody's supposed to assault you. Even though you're under 18, there are people there that are going to help you, and you know who those people are. And they didn't want to say that it was the police. Police and social services can help you. And I told them that even though you're underage, nobody's supposed to hurt you because you're a minor and you have rights here in our tribal community. And I believe that just filling a void, especially here in our tribal court system with the juvenile courts and the police, to let the youth know that, they are needed and they are the future of our tribal community.
Yes, and I can kind of answer all three of them in like one, but I want to apologize if anybody busts through my door. We're having an Easter egg aftermath for our employees here, and my program has been in charge of it. So people might be running in here to find a golden egg. So I apologize ahead of time. I told them I was doing serious work though. Nobody believes me ever. So one, I think definitely being able to support the at-risk youth population, like our most at risk. they're involved with juvenile justice. So from juvenile justice, like we need to make partnerships with them so we can get that data, we can get the referrals, we can provide that early intervention and prevention from further escalation. The data and coordination between law enforcement and us has just been instrumental to what we do, because if we don't know where our heavy pockets of suicide attempts, how, who, what, when, where, if we know of somebody here in Newtown who attempted suicide or died by suicide, and they had connections with family in our Mandaree segment, or, being able to get law enforcement out there to get ahead of this situation so we don't have any clustering going on or things like that. And being able to use them during the presentations, it definitely builds trust and community safety within our youth. Definitely including them in the community events and educations, talking circles, presentations, health fairs, school visits, and things like that. It brings a space of humanizing our officers because of the historical generational trauma and what the federal government represents to us as Native people. Being able to use our law enforcement workforce has been able to kind of break down those barriers a little bit, and seeing having our kids, because a lot of the elders, still are living that trauma and they haven't gotten the therapy. So our best avenue at this point is getting our law enforcement in there to our youth and being able to humanize them and build positive relationship with our youth, so they don't see our law enforcement as just punitive. And we want them to see them as mentors, guides, leaders, friends. So that's why we decided to partner with law enforcement. We need them as allies today. And most of our law enforcement are Native American within our communities, because we have to be honest with ourselves. Nobody's racing to North Dakota to be a law enforcement officer, therapist, mental health professional. So MHA has done a very good job at home growing what we have here, to help. You arrest this person and that's our cousin, but to go about it with empathy and that relationship building, and continue building the trust and community safety and alliance, making that connection for our youth with the law enforcement officers, and hoping someday that the stigma from that type of agency like law enforcement lowers and things like that, so that families will be able to reach out to our law enforcement officers in crisis and, crisis response teams and things like that. So they don't have to feel alone, because we're not alone anymore. And our law enforcements really do come with, diverting towards care and support services, which they see in Native Connections, this program, what they see in our victim services, and our physicians. And that's why I think it's so important. And having the courts involved and them willing to get mental health services in there, I think is awesome. They're doing that instead of being punitive. They're looking at like mental health is an issue. There's rhyme and reason. Let's get trauma informed. Let's look at the root cause, so that it doesn't escalate, and it doesn't go with the kids into adulthood. So just, it's important, definitely important to partner with law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both,
Rhonda?
Stephen and Rhonda. Thank you.
Yeah.
We did have one comment in the chat from Emma. She shared that we partner with law enforcement. We have juvenile enforcement officer that gets called out for the calls that come in. With that, we are able to help with services on getting juvenile placed in facilities for help, or even get them into counseling services.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing, Emma. So let's continue on with some more questions. Marie?
Yes, we'll circle back and I'll read these out for us. Is it okay to invite law enforcement or court staff to cultural events or have them lead youth in activities? And what is the best way to reach out and approach law enforcement or courts And our third question, what happens when these professionals are not included? I think Rhonda shared some of that. And
I think if we don't include our law enforcement, there's a breakdown because there are helpers. They are instrumental in helping. When you don't include people, it doesn't benefit your community. But to
Mhm.
include them, that only and sometimes I find law enforcement who have a hardcore law enforcement. Again, it's about finding their strengths. We all got weaknesses, right? Um, but finding their strength. Maybe they're not the best speaker to the kids. Maybe they don't come off as nurturing or best practices and
Mhm.
evidence-based and developmental milestones. Um, but they have a passion for reffing a basketball game
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
or we just did a after prom sober event and we had numerous law enforcement officers from SROs to TAT law enforcement to county law enforcement to highway patrol in there. And they're in there playing volleyball with the kids. We had a law enforcement versus kids, you know, peer support specialists versus youth, bringing those players to the table. So I think it would be very hard not to do without them. And I just, like I said, you guys already see my personality. I will just go and ask them. I'll meet them. I'll connect with somebody at law enforcement and be like, hey, we have this event going out. Do you have a law enforcement that come out there? And so sometimes I meet them first time. I'm like, yay, I'm so glad you're here. Here's a shirt. Eat some sub sandwich. You want a soda? You want some water? Hey, this kid really likes your get up. you know, them talk with the kids. And if they're willing and able, hand them the microphone and let them go for it. You know, give them a ball to play with the kids, a volleyball, things like that. So it just, yeah. But I have run into law enforcement officers who gentle parenting was not their style. Find what's good and you work with it. But I just will go up to them like, hey, we're having an event. Surprised I haven't got shot by anybody. Hey, my name is Rhonda. I work at Elbow Woods, Native Connections. um, yeah, I think I answered everything. Oh, and definitely having them at culture events. Like a lot of our officers are tribal. So I would say at least half are MHA members. And they're also, so we have Black Mouse Society, which is traditionally our law enforcement officers. They're not, what do you, they didn't like go to academy or nothing, but they are a clan. So Black Mouse Society, when we have our events, they will come in their regalia. We allow them to introduce themselves and they let the youth and families know today what's the equivalent to who they are. And that would be our MHA law enforcement officers um, in, pulling people over, doing that stuff. Um, but traditionally, our Black Mouse Society was our law enforcement for the tribe. So getting that understanding, and they're the ones, and they'll pray, but even some of our Black Mouse Society. So there's a way, like if you are a law enforcement officer, like an official one, you have the option to being able to be in Black Mouse Society. So we do have some of those crossovers. So they will pray. So it is the culture that I think I'm very sure that all of our tribes have had some type of law enforcement capacity or, order for our people. And that's just how it is up in MHA with the Hidatsas.
We do a suicide prevention conference, and we ask the police chief and officers to give a presentation, which is he gave a great presentation. He has his own slides, and we also on like juvenile detention, the teacher wants career people, like we bring in the firefighters, but also the police officers and share their stories. Some of the police officers are my friends who I grew up with, and they share why they're a police officer, how they grew up, and the importance of their job in our community. So I believe law enforcement always has an invitation and will always have a seat at the table. So
Awesome. I wanted
Yes,
to ask
great.
before we move on from this is, um, Emma put in the comment that, we invited them to we invited to a first responders appreciation day. And while they were here, we asked them, how can we help? And that included our NC, PFS 988 and the TOR programs. But I wanted to ask Emma, what those guests had said when they were asked, how can we help? So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more about that, Emma?
No, I don't mind. When we sat down with, and there was the county jail, the law enforcement, it was the hospitals, it was the courts, it was a bunch of them that we all invited, the fire department, and we asked them, hey, how can we be of service to you? A lot of them have they needed help with what is it? It was like when they bring them into holding, they have no one there to sit with the juveniles while they're trying to transport or transportation for them to go to a care facility or something like that. I think that was the biggest hurdle they were facing, was someone to actually come and sit with them and to where they could get them taken care of. And they also there was they wanted to build a sensory room. And so they asked for help in regards to a sensory room. And so we went and taught, we have two therapists that work here with the 988 and the PFS program. And they went and helped them or taught them how to build a sensory room for their police station for these juveniles that have sensory issues that can't communicate effectively. And so they're so overwhelmed, they're not able to express what it is that is going on with them. And so they helped with the sensory room.
It's
Wow.
amazing. That's amazing.
It is amazing. Wow. Thanks for sharing and elaborating on that, Emma. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you, Bobby, for asking her. Yeah, I was reading her comments in the chat there, so thank you. Thank you for coming off of mute, Emma, and sharing. And
You are
let's
welcome.
see. I'll send it on over to Sarah.
Thank you. And Mark, if you can just move it to the next slide for me, please. So we're coming to the close of the event today. We have looking for closing comments from you and any questions that you may have. And as you're thinking about that, I'm reflecting on what our presenters have said. And with the experience that I've had working at DOJ with their tribal youth programs, for their crime prevention programs for youth, it's always been an experience for me seeing law enforcement get involved with youth. And there's always that a little bit of questioning how you get involved, how you connect with law enforcement and courts. But I would say from what I've seen over the years and what I've seen in Native Connections when they do reach out to law enforcement and courts, is that it feels like the program levels up. In the gaming world, they say level up. So I feel like if you're using partnership as a strategy and you kind of hit a wall, level up, level the program up and go for law enforcement and local courts. And I'm going to close with that. And also ask if there are any last minute closing comments from our presenters or any participant questions before we bring it to a close.
just thank you for your time. Also, look at your like we got Bobby. Bobby's a big help. Look at your leaders that you're provided with. Elwood's also a great help. There's ideas out there in our Native Connection circles that you can ask questions, and these people are very knowledgeable in helping you grow and learn. But more importantly, it's about doing our philanthropy work with our tribe. So, thank you.
And I agree, reach out to your TAs. Reach out and, yeah, use them. Because they're connected to all of us out here. Thank you, guys.
Back to you,
Thank
Marie.
you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Rhonda and Stephen. And Sarah, I'm sorry, Rhonda shared some information in the chat if you'd like to take a look. It's pretty lengthy, but I appreciate you sharing all of this. This is really good information for others and those of you that are new to the Native Connections program. So thank you. We also have here, BC has shared in the chat, it's the link to what you see on the screen here, the QR code. And we just ask for you to take a moment to complete that. And in the meantime, I'd like to share that we do have 2 webinars upcoming here in the near future. May 6th, next Tuesday in 2 weeks, it'll be the Native Youth Resilience webinar. And at the end of the month in May, we have effective youth engagement strategies. So many, many opportunities for learning and sharing here again in this webinar space.
Thank you for
Send it on
joining us,
back over.
guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.